In the shadowed valley of Oakhaven, where the mountains disappeared into the gray sky, lived a boy named Leo. He was only 16, but exhaustion had already settled into his face. His eyes carried the weight of cold nights, empty plates, and worries no child should have to bear. Since his father died, Leo had become the only support for his mother. She was sick and weak, spending her days by a cracked window, staring down the dusty road. Their home had no warmth, little food, and almost no hope. But poverty had given them one thing in abundance: silence. Every morning, long before sunrise, Leo walked through the fog to the workshop of Master Silas. Silas was the finest potter in the region. His hands could turn cold clay into beautiful vases that decorated the homes of wealthy families and kings. But while his hands created beauty, his heart showed little kindness. Leo worked like a shadow in Silas's workshop. He carried heavy buckets of water, kneaded thick clay until his arms ached, and cleaned ash from the furnaces until he could barely breathe. At night, he returned home with a few copper coins, just enough to buy a small loaf of dry bread. Still, Leo watched. He watched Silas shape clay on the spinning wheel. He watched simple mud become something beautiful. And Leo dreamed that one day he would create something too. But whenever Leo moved closer to the wheel, Silas would shout, "Back to the mud, boy! Art is for the gifted. Your hands are only good for dirt." Leo would lower his head and return to work. One morning, the workshop was filled with tension. A famous merchant named Julian was coming from the capital to buy the town's finest work. Silas spent hours polishing his greatest creation, the crown vase. It was tall, elegant, and covered in delicate engravings. "This vase is worth more than your life," Silas warned Leo. "Do not let even your shadow touch it." The workshop became hot, crowded, and chaotic. Leo was carrying a heavy basin of water when another apprentice rushed past him and crashed into his shoulder. Leo slipped on wet clay. He stumbled backward. His shoulder hit a wooden shelf. For one terrible second, the crown vase shook. Then it fell. It shattered across the stone floor. The sound seemed to echo through the entire workshop. Everything went silent. Silas approached Leo, his face twisted with anger. He took Leo by the collar and led him outside, into the street. Then he picked up a sharp piece of the broken vase and held it out to Leo. "Look at this!" Silas shouted so the whole town could hear. "This is what failure looks like. Hands made for breaking will never create anything." He threw Leo's small earnings into the dirt. "Never come back. You are nothing to me." Leo did not pick up the coins. He held the broken shards so tightly that it cut his hand. Then he walked away under the burning afternoon sun. For days, Leo searched for work, but the story had spread through the village. Everyone knew him as the boy who broke the crown. No one wanted to hire him. On the third day, Leo sat beside an old, crumbling wall. His hand was still wounded, but his heart hurt even more. Then he heard a soft voice. "Why are you fighting the earth, young man?" Leo looked up. It was Clara, an elderly woman who lived at the edge of the valley. She was known for her kindness and for collecting things other people threw away. She saw Leo's injured hand and invited him into her small cottage. The room smelled of lavender and damp earth. In the corners were bags filled with broken pottery, colored glass, and cracked pieces of ceramic. "Why do you keep all this?" Leo asked. Clara picked up a blue shard and held it toward the light. "Because nothing that breaks is truly worthless," she said. "Sometimes the pieces can become something more beautiful than the original." She placed a wooden board in front of Leo. "You know clay. You understand shapes. Now learn to see beauty in broken things." Leo stayed with Clara. At first, he tried to make perfect pots again, but slowly he began working with broken pieces instead. He used clay to connect shards of pottery and glass. He created mosaics of birds, forests, sunrises, and stars. The village children laughed at him. "Look at the scavenger," they shouted. "He collects trash to sell trash." But Leo kept working. He had learned something important. The broken pieces were not the end of the story. They were the beginning of a new one. Months later, Julian the merchant returned to the village. He walked through the market, looking at rows of perfect vases. They were smooth, beautiful, expensive, but none of them moved him. Then, near the edge of the market, he saw Leo's small stall. There was a mosaic hanging at the front. It showed a phoenix rising from flames, and it had been made from the shattered pieces of the crown vase. Julian stopped. "Who made this?" he asked quietly. "I did," Leo said. "From broken things?" Leo nodded. "From the things people thought were useless." Julian looked at the mosaic for a long moment. "I have seen hundreds of perfect vases today," he said, "but none of them have a soul. This one tells a story." Julian bought every piece Leo had made, and he paid enough to change Leo's life forever. Years passed. Leo opened a studio in the city. His mosaics became famous because they carried pain, hope, and transformation. But Silas was not so fortunate. His pride had made him bitter. His bitterness drained the life from his work. Customers stopped coming. Debt grew. And one day, Silas sat alone in his ruined workshop, surrounded by broken pottery. His hands shook with age and regret. Then Leo entered. Silas looked up. "Have you come for revenge?" he whispered. Leo looked at the man who had once destroyed his confidence. "No," Leo said. "I came because I have a studio in the city, and I need someone who understands fire better than anyone else." Silas stared at him in disbelief. "I want you to work with me," Leo said. Silas began to cry. In that moment, he understood something Leo had learned long ago. A person can create beauty from broken pieces, and sometimes they can help mend the person who broke them. Years later, Leo's gallery displayed a large mural called "The Vase That Broke, the Soul That Was Built." Its message was simple. Life may break you. It may shatter your plans, your dreams, and your heart. But do not let the breaking define you. Some people seek revenge for their wounds. Others build something meaningful from them. Your broken pieces may not be the end of your story. They may be the beginning of your masterpiece.